We'll do it live.
Okay. My KBS is 2000. Right? So, which is what it should be. Yeah. And then the minute I click the intro to the show, it goes to 166. And it's like...
We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live! Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
I don't know, maybe let's see. I log into my Wi-Fi. I'll give you a password. That's fine. We're still good. We're still here.
What is up, What is up, everybody? Bobby here, the Nintendo Guru. Welcome to another episode of Nintendo Talk Live. I am joined by a good friend of mine, Jack Gilbert from YesOjo. How you doing, sir?
I am very well, sir. How are you?
I am well. I'm gonna ignore the technical difficulties that I'm having. I do want to let people know, right at Jump Street. Hopefully things go smoothly between Jack and I. He's having some VPN issues because you're in China at the moment.
At our development studio, that's right.
Yes, and things are a little bit, I guess, internet-wise, things are a little restricted at times, right? How they do stuff.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
That's a polite way of saying it, yeah.
So if things get out of control and it's too many issues, technical issues, then what we're just gonna pause it, shut down for tonight, and then reschedule when you are not in China, and then see what we could do. So, but other than that, how you doing, man?
Yeah, no, I'm very well. I'm exhausted actually. We've been sort of non-stop over here since we were at TGS Tokyo Game Show.
Yes.
Last week, and yeah, like those guys over there, they absolutely were fascinated by what we had to offer and had to say.
Yeah. And
yeah, apart from that, I've kind of been all over Europe, all over the States. We hung out at E3 for a little while.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm good. I'm pleasantly busy. Definitely.
That's good. So Luke Lord just says, what time is it there in China?
It's 9:13 in the morning here.
Okay, so it's 9:13 in the morning. So we're 12-hour difference. Or
That's right.
12. Yeah. Math, not a strong suit. I do math all day, and I'm.
Tell me about it.
And then the other thing he said is,
do you know?
The other thing he said was, what does Ojo mean? And Ojo means I, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can tell that story now, but funny story about these time differences, like because I use these VPNs.
Yeah.
My Google Calendar doesn't really catch up. So I actually came in the office yesterday morning for this interview, got it completely wrong, thinking it was going to be Monday your time or something, or some, I don't know.
And I sent you an alert, right?
I know. Yeah, no, it's not your fault. It's just
I wasn't going to let you throw the blame on me, Jack. I was going to fight you on this one.
It's definitely not your. And it's also, you're not the first. That's not the first time I've done that. It's maybe the third time I've done that so far. So I've really got to get myself more organized. Need some sort of atomic clock.
Okay, so the thing that I don't understand is this. So you're British. So you're from England. You deal with a lot of people in the United States, but you work mainly in China. Not mainly, but you deal with China and Japan and all that stuff quite often.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How the hell do you keep track of anything?
Oh, it's hard, man. It's hard. It's startup life. Gaming startup life is difficult for sure, but it's so fun. It's so exciting. And I mean, yeah, like I think what I kind of want to answer Luke's question a little bit further.
Yeah, definitely. Please do.
About YesOjo, because we're called the company's called YesOjo or YesOjo Studios, if you prefer. And those like English and Spanish and Chinese are like the most popular, widely spoken languages in the world, and we're called YesOjo, as in like yes to everything and eyes, open your eyes. So what we're trying to be is like a proper everywhere global brand, bringing fun Switch stuff to everyone, And so we're trying to be as open and as honest and as, multicultural and versatile as we can. We're still really small. Yeah. We're still like maybe 10, 15 people. Yeah. We have kind of freelancers and stuff. Yeah. But we've got big dreams. So yeah, that's the whole plan, which is why it's a lot of work right now. So yeah.
That's Tim Ulf. He just said, like, you guys are very innovative as well. And I agree. Like, the stuff that you're doing is minus... so for me, minus the Pro controllers and the carrying cases and things like that. Like, I get why you're doing them. But for me, I don't care about that part of your company. What gets me excited is the other stuff that you guys do. The projector. Yeah. Now the Bluetooth speaker. Like, I remember... So what happened? So let's do a little history with our relationship, just so people understand. Yeah. So what happened was, essentially, at the time you had Tom working for you guys, and he was kind of reaching out to some people. And I'm assuming it was Tom. I don't know, but
I think it was actually Mark who reached out to you initially. Okay. So our CMO. Okay. Is a Chinese guy.
Yes. Yeah. So Mark sent a tweet out of a picture of the projector and said, basically, like, it was me, Nintendo Life, there was a Japanese vlogger, gamer as well, YouTuber, and then one other person, which I don't even know who that was, sent it out to the four of us, and was like, this is and I saw it, I was the first one out of that group to reply, and was like, I need to see more of this. This thing is awesome. And then that kind of started the whole relationship. And then Tom actually reached out to me one morning, at 5:30 in the morning, or 5 in the morning, was like, hey man, here's an exclusive video. You got 2 hours. You can do whatever you want to do with this, but it's yours for 2 hours. And I immediately ran downstairs, did a video where I discussed, like, essentially what I was seeing, but what I thought about it and all that. Then at that point, we continued to have conversations via DM. At that time, I didn't realize there was like 16 people in the DM. I'm exaggerating, but it was like I didn't know who I was talking to. I assumed that I was talking to Tom most of the time, but then it turned out that I was talking to you a lot of the time. And then also I was talking to Mark. And then there's a young girl, and I forget her name, man, and it's killing me right now. I met her at E3.
Yes, that's her name's her Chinese name is Rong or Freeman in English, which I think is brilliant. Freeman, what an amazing name!
It's an amazing name, right? Yeah. So I met her at E3, and I had been speaking to her as well through all of this. So I'm talking to a bunch of people that I don't even realize. I don't. Still, sometimes to this day, like, I'll talk to, and I'm like, who exactly am I talking to? And like, so when the Bluetooth thing came about, right? Yeah. I'm getting ready to go live. I'm jumping ahead on the story. Yeah. But I'm getting ready to go live on Twitch with a buddy of mine. We do a show called The Co-op Kings, where we both stream at the same time, the same game. We're playing together. And that's when the message comes through about the Bluetooth. And I, like, lose my mind when I see the thing. And then I turn around and I go over. I start DM later, and you come in. You're like, no, hold on. We'll get you more information. Just sit tight. Yeah. Don't do anything like crazy at the moment. And I was like, okay. Yeah. I'll put a pin in it. I'll wait. You just ruined my hopes and dreams, Jack. Thank you for that.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I'm kidding. But let's back up. So now what happens is I'm communicating with Tom and you, but I don't. At that point, I really didn't know. I was talking to you, and then I get a phone call, or I get a message from you. I think at this point, and you're like, "Hey, we have a PR person in New York. Would it be okay if we asked her to contact you?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then she contacted me, and she was like, "Hey," I can't remember her name either.
That was Nancy.
Nancy, that's it. Nancy that I don't like. That's why I forgot her. I don't like. I'll get into Nancy in a minute. There's a reason why I don't like Nancy.
Yeah. that was the first and last time we worked with her.
Really? Get out of here! Really?
Yeah.
So, what happened
what
happens is she contacts me and says, "Hey, we want to come to you. We want to meet you. We want to do all this stuff." And I'm like, "We want to show you the projector for the first time." And I'm like, yes, like whatever. So when she tells me
this is just a prototype at this stage.
This is just a prototype. Trust me, I know. I can see it there. So she contacts me, and then we realize, like, dude, it's a 3-hour trip. You guys aren't going to come all the way to me 3 hours. I'm like, I'll come to you. Where are you at? So that's how the whole thing. So I come up to New York. My friend Joe, after work, he comes with me, and I think it was the five of us: Nancy, Tom, you, and me and Joe. We meet at that restaurant in New York, and you break the prototype out. You hand it to me. I'm looking at it, and then you're like, "That's yours." And I was like, I'm like, "Holy crap, this is mine!" And she's like, "No, we can't give that to him." And I'm like, I want to just be like, dude, you need to just go away.
Do you remember when she took your food you were eating away from you?
Yeah.
It was just
listen,
so embarrassing.
No. It was fine. It was fine. I like, the funny thing is like, Joe will still say stuff to me, right? So Joe will come to me, and Joe, like, me and Joe do a podcast called Planet Nintendo Podcast. And the other day we were talking, and he goes, dude, I'm still pissed that they didn't give you that. And I was like, dude, I don't care. For me, and this is the truth, Jack, the fact that I got to sit there to meet you, to now build a relationship with you, and to actually play this thing on a wall in a restaurant blew me.
We played Mario Kart. That was hilarious.
Yeah, we played Doom, man. We were playing Doom in a restaurant.
Doom had just came out that day, I think.
Yeah, Doom had came out on Friday. Yeah. And Joe had it with him. And he popped it in. We started playing it, and I'm like, "This is nuts. This is crazy." But it was, but for me, like, I was fine with all of that. Like that, I didn't care. It was, to me, it was more about the relationship, getting to meet you, getting to, form this relationship and look at it and go like, "Hey, we're going to continue to talk, and I'm going to be able to see this stuff." So then what happens is, I think, man, I want to say, like, probably a couple months later, you contact me at CES. You were at CES at the time, and had said that people were reaching out to you based on some of the videos that I had put out. You said some retailers were coming to the booth looking for the stuff, and based off of what you had seen, and I was excited. And then E3 comes about, and you guys are like, "Hey, graciously offer to get me out to E3," which I thank you for wholeheartedly, man. That was amazing. Which I kick myself for this. So when you guys offered to, because originally you guys were like, "We'll get you the tickets," and I was like, "Well, I already got my tickets." I should have, like, canceled those tickets and let you buy me tickets, because your tickets were better than what I got. I could only get in at a lot of times of the day.
You can just walk around where it's crazy. The exhibitor passes are ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can just go and hang out with whoever you want. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing for me. This is all a new journey for me as well, because previous to this I was doing PR and software development, but for like really boring ass stuff back in the UK, like wash powder and payment systems and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, it's like, this is like a dream come true as well, and it's a great thing to be involved in. Yeah. So well, next time, remember that. Okay?
Oh no, I remember that. I won't forget that next time. Next time you're like, "Hey, I just canceled my passes. I got this." It just, this year was this year's been very surreal for me, in terms of, I don't know if you know how much you know about what I'm going through and all that, but like, I'm involved in a divorce right now, and in that, I get the news that we're done, we're going to get divorced and all that, and then a friend of mine, Jules Watson, reaches out to me, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm going to E3. He's a developer, he makes games. he reached out to me and says like, "Hey, I'm going to go to E3. I have room in my room if you want to come." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, absolutely." And I started looking, and I get the tickets, and then you guys reach out to me like days later, and I was like, "This is perfect." Like, I'm coming off of like horrible stuff, and then this all just kind of floats in. Like, this is awesome. So it's
I'm really starting to believe.
What's that?
Go on.
No, go ahead.
I'm really starting to believe with this job that like so many amazing things seem to happen.
Yeah.
Like just at the right time. That I never really believed in fate before, but I'm starting to go, oh, you know, maybe because just so many cool things seem to fall into place for me at the moment and for everything. So yeah.
So my question to you is how do you get from being in the UK to what you're doing now? Like, how does that transition happen?
You mean like my story, my journey to working for these guys?
Yeah. Because I want to know, like, you're in England. How do you go from England to working for a company in China? Like, that's just, you know.
I know. Again, absolute fate, to be honest. Like, I'd spent some time working in marketing and PR and communications, but as I said, for kind of boring companies, for big global corporations and stuff like that. And I actually retrained and learned to be a developer with the view to eventually make games, but that stuff is so hard.
Yeah,
so
it's tough.
Focusing on more your kind of day-to-day web development, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I got offered a job at like the British State Department, so the Home Office it's called there. And like that is a nightmare to like, you've got so many background checks and stuff to go through. So in July I got the offer of the job in about June last year. Maybe before, like May. And I was just sitting around waiting for all this security stuff to go through. And one of my best friends from college, he works in finance in London, and his colleague who he sits next to is related to our COO, Mr. Chalet Wu.
Okay.
And who I think you've met as well. He's a very nice guy, very Chinese.
I don't think I met him yet. Was he at E3?
He was at E3. Yeah, he was probably running around. Like the speed and the like frenetic energy of like Chinese businessmen is like Silicon Valley times 1,000. It's just like. I
met a lot of people in the booth, and I'm not even sure. I know I met Mark.
Right.
I met you.
Yeah.
Freeman, I met, but other than that, I wasn't really sure who. Does he speak good English at all, or no?
No.
I might have met him because there was a couple guys that came up to me and they didn't.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his English is better than my Chinese, to be fair. So I can't really complain. So, yeah. So anyway, so this girl who was related to him was she'd been tasked to like find some PR guy or PR agency or something in London to help with what would become the Yoho. And she told me later, she looked for the geekiest guy in the office who was my best friend and just asked him a question. It's like, do you know anyone who might be interested in this or might do something like this? And he was like, yeah, my friend Jackie, maybe. And so they both sent me an email, and I was so close to saying, oh no, I don't want to do this PR stuff anymore. I'm so out of this world now. I've got a new direction. I want to go be an engineer and work for the State Department, have a nice boring life with a good pension and all this sort of stuff. But I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything. I need a bit of money while I'm waiting for this job to start. And I imagined it would be like maybe 1 month's work, like maybe one press release or something. Mm-hmm. And that was July last year. And it's just spiraled and grown and grown. And I'm British, so we're very, very negative people. And I thought when I first saw this, I was like,
I know.
Right?
I have a podcast. I do another podcast called the Nintendo PlayStation Podcast. My co-host name is Toby Thornton, British. He trust me. There's times I want to smack him because I'm like, Toby, what are you doing? Like, it's not that bad.
No, I saw this like the renders of the Yoho. Exactly. That's what we're like.
Yeah.
I saw the renders of the Yoho and I was like, no one's gonna want that. No, like no one needs that. The Switch itself is already a handheld. Like you put it like that's not what it's for. No one's gonna want that.
Yeah.
And it was only when only after that tweet And you know, from that tweet, I don't think you were the first to like pick it up, but then, my God, every like hype beast, Mashable, everyone picked it up, and everyone was so excited. And every time something like that happens, I'm like, oh, hold on, there's something here. There's definitely every time you said to me we had a phone call the other week for the benefit of the viewers talking about the speaker, and you said it pops, and I really like that phrase because when something pops with people like yourself, I'm like, this is really a big deal. And then it sort of just ran from there. It's I mean, I don't know if any of your viewers have sort of dealt with us before. But as I said, you know, we've been primarily based in China up until now. Like everything, customer service, sales, marketing. Well, that's me, but has been run from here. And just the Chinese way of doing things is, I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm going to say it's different. Like it's completely different. Like this country is like it's not a different culture. It's a different civilization. It's like everything is just how they think about things, how they relate to products is not the same way that we do in the West. And it's been the kind of my journey and my sort of struggle, which I've just reached recently, has been sort of showing my boss and my colleagues like, this might work here, but this doesn't work in Japan. This won't work in France. This won't work in Germany, or we do things like this in Britain or whatever it is. And we're kind of finally getting that idea now. So I'm hoping that everyone all over the world will start seeing stuff that's more relevant to them and they can appreciate and get behind in a big way. Because that's what we want. We just want to share this with everyone, really.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because that's kind of like Nintendo. You know, like they'll do things. Exactly. They'll do things, and it's like, why are you doing this? This makes no sense. Why you're doing this? And then, like an example, I remember reading an article recently where I think it was a year ago. So the way they do Splatoon 2, you know, they have the matches. So if you and I are going to play a match and we go in and it's like, here's 2 maps. And those maps are locked in for 2 hours. And then after 2 hours, it switches, and then here's another 2 maps. And everybody's like, well, why can't I just pick what I want to play? And they're like, that's not how we're doing it this way. This is, and I didn't realize, like, in that article, the developer says, in Japan, you could go into a restaurant, and that restaurant could serve a peanut butter and jelly sandwich today. And then tomorrow, you go back, and you're like, hey, I want peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You're like, we're not making that today. And you're like, I want and they're like, no, that's not on the menu today. And you just can't, and that's just how life is over there. And it's like, oh, well, that's it. Like, so we're here, like, and I'm sure it's the same in England. I could go, excuse me, I could go into the same restaurant every single day and get, like, you know, a hamburger every single day for the month, and it'll be there, you know. But like they're like, no, that's not how we do things. It's totally different.
Exactly.
So I get where you're coming from with that. Real quickly, I want to. I mean, well, go ahead.
No, I mean that's completely it. I mean, even like we're all criticizing Nintendo Online at the moment for putting the voice chat on a phone. Yeah. But that is so normal in Asia. That's like, well, why? Of course it's on a phone. That's what we put everything on the phone here. That's just that makes sense to them. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah.
And that's a crazy thing because like you being there, like you see it now. But
yeah. Oh yeah, I get it now.
And rather than, and that's the thing that blows my mind, rather than Nintendo of America going, this is what they do in Japan, and we're trying to get it to change or whatever, but this is what they do in Japan or whatever. No, they just go, and it's like, no, don't just go like this. Explain why that is being done. Like, that's what you do. Like, your marketing company has to go, hey, look, this is a thing from Japan, and I can't really get into too much detail, but because I heard a friend of mine told me a story, and it's not really necessarily like I should be sharing it or whatever, but like part of why the Wii U failed was a disconnect between Nintendo of America and Nintendo Japan, and the marketing out the gates. Like Nintendo of America was going Nintendo of America was basically being given the ball to run.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they went very adult heavy out the gates, and Nintendo Japan was going very family friendly out the gates, and they didn't jive. And when things started to fall apart very quickly for NOA, Japan like just threw them under the bus completely.
Yeah.
And Iwata actually came over and kind of became Reggie's boss in NOA, which wasn't ever the case prior. So things change. So there's always that weird dynamic there. So Tim Olf asked a question, and I want to throw this at you because I think it's a pretty good question. Where does YesOjo get their ideas from? Market research or your own gamer needs? So like, where do things come from?
I mean, that's a good question, and I think that's like a few things. I want to institute more kind of traditional Western ideas of market research, doing focus groups and stuff. But there's, I don't know, call me naive or an idealist or something here, but there's something in the Chinese culture that there's this like innate spirit of invention, which is, and I mean around products, and I'm like, look at this. I keep playing with this fidget spinner.
Yeah.
You remember how popular these were like a year ago? These came from Shenzhen.
Yeah.
Like they came up with that idea and got them out into the West. They were like big here, like 2014. Hoverboards came from here. Going back in history, you know, soccer, glass, China, fireworks, federal government employees, all this kind of stuff comes from China. And, you know, we all know that they, so there's that I don't quite know that one myself. That's a good question. Like, where did they come up with these ideas? They can, the abundance and the sort of the way you can kind of get stuff to market at such low cost here means that you can just carry on experimenting. There's these huge tech markets a few miles away from me called Huaichong Bay, and my God, it's just like they're miles long, and there's literally every component you can imagine, every technological device you have at some point passed through that market.
Get out of here.
So, but for nothing, every iPhone, Pixel, Samsung, TV, whatever it is like something has touched that market. So people just experiment. I think like it's insane, and also, I mean, this is what I'm fascinated about. Like as they're starting to learn about Western ways of marketing, like with Ojo, we have our dedicated community group, Ojo Insiders, of which you remember. Yeah. So we test ideas in there, and that's invaluable. We've already got so many new ideas for the speaker. So yeah, getting feedback from fans is great, and yeah, just experimenting really, I think. But I as a Westerner, I don't know if I'll ever really get to the core of that. Yeah. And I say Western because it's the same thing when we say Asian person, we mean Chinese, Japanese, Korean. We don't care. There's such a difference between all of them. They think Westerner is just like, you know, like cowboy. Really, is what they always what they think. Yeah.
They don't think proper English. No. They don't think the Queen and all that.
No, they don't think France. They don't think Russia. They don't think Germany. They think that America, Canada. They just think like hamburger, fries, Stetson hat. That's all they know.
Oh my God. Well, you know what, dude? Right? You know what, though? But here's the thing.
Funny.
Here's the thing. I feel like we do the same thing, like you just said. We do the same thing, and it's like whatever, you know. And it's you know, nowadays you get labeled, you know, with all these like you're racist and all that. But it's like that's just growing up. That's what you kind of think, and you just never diversify out of that. You know.
This is the thing. I mean, like, this is what I kind of clocked on fairly quickly here, where a lot of misunderstanding and stuff happens between like Chinese, Japanese, and Western European and American language speakers, is because our languages are just so different, like in every way, that we can't ever really translate. Well, it's very hard to sort of properly translate what you're saying and what you're thinking, unless you're like really proficient in those languages. I think for like hundreds of years, we've just been misunderstanding each other. Even, I don't want to get into politics too much here, but even what's going on at the moment where there's a lot of talk about Chinese IP theft. Again, call me naive, call me an idealist. There's a word in Chinese called shanzai, which is mistranslated as copying or copycat.
Okay.
But it's not that at all, really. It's more like, if you know anything about open source software development, where Facebook will build a tool and then just open it up, and anyone else can take that, use it, add on it, build another business on it, do whatever. Airbnb, Google, Uber, Twitter, Snapchat, all these companies do that. And that's kind of their approach to technology, really. They don't really see it as something to be owned. They see it something to be sort of shared, which is like, I think, a really significant idea, and something I want to spend some time on getting out there, because I think if we don't, there's going to be some real trouble in this world. I can see it coming. So,
it's crazy because you say that, right? And I was watching a guy yesterday on YouTube, and it was a professor, and he was giving a talk, and he said there was a year when Obama was president. Obama made a speech where he talked about how business owners don't own their business. That essentially we all own the businesses, meaning we pay taxes, our taxes pay for the roads, employee. And now the professor was giving the counter argument as saying like, well, like labor makes it and this and but you saying that like really opens my eyes to go like, this might be like new age thinking in terms of like, a lot of these businesses and stuff, they look at things as, we're going to borrow ideas and just throw it out there, so then we can take this and maybe it's almost like, what if a caveman just patented fire and nobody else was allowed to make fire ever again?
We would get nowhere.
So it's kind of like one of these things of like, here's this, here's that, it's kind of, I got a question in the chat. I want to see it. Okay, so a guy named the Derpy Turtle, or the Derpy Turtle 87, he's saying the speakers, are they actually for sale? They're not for sale yet.
Not yet. No, they're coming early 2019.
Yes.
Where I wanted the prototype to show again today, because we were showing the kind of just the plastic mold really at TGS, but that has gone off to be worked on. So the speaker will be available early 2019.
So my thoughts are this, and I think it's very similar, my mindset, to when I saw the Projector the first time. I remember sitting in a restaurant with you, and you just saying to me, like, what do you think? And you saying to me, like, well, I remember you then following, because I was just like, I think it's cool, whatever. And you're like, and a lot of the questioning was like, well, what do you think in terms of like, how does this get sold? Like, yes, you like it. Yes, you think it's cool. But with the price tag and all that stuff, like, can it actually go into people's hands? And my feeling was, and I said at the time was, listen, we live in the world of like, we don't need any of this stuff. We don't need our iPhones. We don't need, like, I just went out and bought the new iPhone XS Max, right? I don't need this. I don't have to have this. I want this. So I go buy this, and that's the thing. Like, it's similar to everything. Like, does anybody need a Beats pill? Like nobody needs that. Yeah. They want it. No. You know what I mean? And it's once you wrap your mind around that, then you then start to look at it and go, okay, how does this work for me? And my feeling is with the speaker, and I bring it up in the video I did the day after you guys showed me. My feeling was, look, if I'm in the market for a Bluetooth speaker, why wouldn't I buy yours over a Beats or whatever? Now, obviously, this thing that you guys are making probably isn't the quality of a Beats. Like, a Beats is a specific...
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Don't forget the Beats. Well, I haven't... It's not... That's not available yet, but don't forget that everything is made in China.
Okay.
So you just find the factory that makes the Beats speaker cone or whatever, the Bose speaker cone, and then you just use those components.
Okay.
So that's... Or
well, I guess...
use similar components.
I guess in my mindset... Okay, so in my mindset, I'm thinking, like, Beats is kind of known for a particular thing because of Dr. Dre and all that. And Bose, the same thing. But, so my thinking is well, if this one is I mean, because dude, Beats are expensive as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm thinking like, if this thing is this price and this one is either comparable or a little bit less or whatever, because I don't know what it's priced at. That's fine. But like my
I don't know. Don't worry.
but my feeling is yours offers an additional thing that I can't do with theirs, and what yours offers is better for me as a gamer, because theirs, the only thing I could do with theirs is play music, and with yours I could play video games, and I could watch television with Hulu through it and have a nice pop sound coming out of it. If Netflix ever hits the switch, if YouTube ever hits the switch, the other thing that someone said to me that completely forgot, Smash is going to become an iPod player, essentially, so I can dock it and listen to all that Smash music as a player. Like, to me, I'm excited for
and
this.
Charge your phone as well at the same time.
Yes,
don't forget that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the
and your
thing. Like
Pro Controller or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like a power brick that does all these different things. I love that. So here's a question I have for you. Kind of, I was going to throw it at you anyway, because I had the question in my mind when I saw it, and then Tim Wolf just said he loves the color match of the Joy-Cons or whatever. So I buy this thing. Am I stuck buying one color, or can I? Is there like palette swaps, or how does that work?
Can't make any comment on that at this time.
Here we go, Jack. Here we go, Jack. Now we're gonna. No, that's fine. I'm just kidding. So basically, what he's saying is it's gonna be $100 per color swap, and
yeah, exactly. You can only break after 2 weeks, and you can only buy new ones from me. Yeah,
I do like that look though. You know what I mean? Like you guys lean heavily into that now. I think you really truly, the one thing I like about your company is you look at Nintendo and you're leaning heavily into their marketing and what they're doing to kind of go like, so it's brand recognition. So when somebody sees your product, they immediately, without even knowing anything, like you could have just dropped that dock in with no picture on it. Like you could have dropped that switch into that Bluetooth without a picture on it, and I would have looked at it and went, that's a Switch. Just because of the color recognition that you guys were doing. Obviously, you want to put that in there to go like, hey, here's a Switch, boom. But the fact of like, here's this brand recognition that you guys are following, I like it. I like it a lot.
Exactly. Complete. That's complete. Yeah, and we're sort of in the. You've got it, and we're trying to build our own brand as well behind it as well. So we've got that Nintendo recognition, but obviously always trying to use the YesOjo logo and the YesOjo name and colors and stuff wherever we can. We've got this is our new Ojo. We've also just done a big deal in Japan. So this is the sort of new box that we're doing for Japan. This is a sort of trial version of that. So if any Japanese viewers are watching, look out for us very soon in stores near you. But yeah, that's been an interesting journey. It's about making, because apart from like the projector and the speaker, these are kind of new, especially the projector. It's new technology inside. It's this DLP projection technology, and it's like a new concept, it's a new way of playing games, right? You don't really people have used projectors before, but the refresh rates and stuff have been quite bad, whereas this doesn't have those problems. So it's been an interesting using the kind of leveraging on Nintendo to try and teach people about a new way to play games, and at the same time kind of build our brand as well. So this is like another interesting challenge for us all the time. So for
me, what I did was the first time I really I got the thing, I tried it out. Obviously, I liked it, but in terms of real life use of the projector, I was just like, man, I don't really know what I would use this for. I started to kick it around in my mind, what am I really going to use this for? I don't it's cool, I love it. And when I went to E3, that was the first time I put it to use. And what happened was, went out there and I brought it with me, and every morning I would fire it up, and on the wall have a giant sized
Right.
screen, and I was playing Fortnite every morning of E3. Like, I loved it, man. It was like, it was a ritual.
Yeah.
I would wake up, I would start playing, and Jules would be on the computer at the desk, and he would be answering emails because he actually launched a game the same time we were out there.
Wow.
So he launched Soccer Slammers when we were out there, and we're sitting there, and he's like typing emails and sending out review codes and all that stuff. And then it would never fail. I would play, and I sucked, and I would die, and we would watch the match. And him and I would sit there, and I'm just watching. Next thing I know, he's like leaning back, and he's like watching the screen, and we'd start rooting for somebody. And it was like, that became our ritual every morning. And it was like, but it was so perfect that, because I was legitimately like, I had it plugged in, or I had the dock, or I had the switch plugged into the projector. Didn't have no power running to the Ojo, and it was just boom, perfect. And I was like, this is what I love about this thing. Like, now, it takes it to that new level. And loud, man. The speaker is so loud. It's awesome. It is so awesome.
I know. For me, it was when I was staying at my parents' house for a couple of weeks, and there's nothing in like what was my old bedroom. It's just like a storeroom. There's a bed, and that's it. But I had the Ojo, and I switched it on, and I was playing Doom again, and it was like huge across the wall, booming out. It was like almost too much to take. It was so in your face. I was like, this is kind of how Doom should be played, I think. So, I mean,
no, Doom should be played in a restaurant in New York. That's the way.
Right. Yeah, exactly. At lunchtime. Yeah.
At lunchtime, with customers sitting there trying to eat their pasta and like seeing blood splattered and stuff over here on the wall. That was that's going to be the most surreal moment of my life, man. That was unreal, man. But that is true. Like, you see.
So yeah, for me, I realized I didn't need a TV in my room anymore. I literally don't have one now. I just have this. Yeah. So I'm also a big Xbox and PS4 player. I don't have a PC just yet. I live in London. We have tiny apartments, so no room for it. And I don't need anything else. I just use this to watch anything or play anything. So yeah.
So I want to throw some things at you real quickly, because these are questions that always get thrown at me, and I get tired of, because I'm not the guy. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I get tired of, because I go from what you tell me, and but I want to throw these questions at you and give you the opportunity to answer them. The Ojo. Why should I buy this when I could buy a regular projector that does a better job or has more power? What's your answer to that?
I would probably question that you could buy. You definitely couldn't buy a. Well, okay, so this is using brand new technology. Forget everything you know about projectors, really. Yeah. Our CTO is the former chief scientist at TDK. He worked there in the 80s and 90s, and now he's kind of moved on to bigger and better things, looking at projection technology and all kinds of new things I can't talk about at the moment, but I wish I could. So this DLP chipset is using a different kind of optical drive as opposed to what you're used to. It runs at 1001 contrast ratio, and it has a 25,000 hertz. No, I'm not even going to say that because it's nothing to do with refresh rate. So we have a loyal fan in one of the Ojo groups, and he used the Jimmy X 1080p pocket projector, which is like one of the best of the old school small style projectors that you can find on the market. And he put like a video comparison up there, and I think we should start pushing this out as well. And the quality of this thing blows it out of the park. The speed it boots up is much faster than what you get from an old style projector, where you have to push and hold and then go find a new cable and all that sort of stuff. It'll never, the fan system in here ensures that you'll never ever have any kind of problems with overheating, which you sometimes do with other projectors. I remember giving lectures and stuff where you're cooking standing next to projectors. Never happens with this thing. And I'd also say, like, the multifunctionality of this thing as well. The fact you can use it for so many other things. It's got that speaker. It's got that HDMI input. And it's so portable. It's like you can take it anywhere. You really can. It's got that 4-hour battery life in there. yeah, I mean, if you like the Switch and you want to be able to play anywhere, and you want that kind of novelty of having like a party or something where you have your friend. I've got like loads of those videos of kids at school at lunchtime playing this, or kids on camping trips and stuff playing this. Those are the reasons. And if you want the latest, the very latest in projection technology, then this is the company to look for, I think. And that
I agree. I just want it to come from you though, because I've said these things, and I want to do this too. The other thing is the lumens. Because
the lumens, absolutely.
That's a big one that like everybody's like, well, this thing is, it's nowhere near as powerful as a regular projector. Yeah. But you have told me that that's not true. I want to hear.
That's not true. So, like I said, this is using a new kind of measure of lumens, as it's using that DLP technology. It's 200 ANSI lumens, which is something I don't think we really communicated initially because of the sort of issues I've spoken before about the language problem and all sorts of things. So people think like 200 lumens for like an old school projector is pretty
bad,
pretty rubbish.
Yeah.
Pretty. But this is more akin to sort of between sort of 1200 to 1400 of those old school lumens. So that's the projector you're buying. That you sort of think in those terms, but you're also getting a much sharper image than you would do in those old measures. And even kind of like people say 480p, that's no good. As you've seen for yourself, that doesn't look like 480p, and that's again about a different way of measuring. If we could go back in time, we would have communicated this stuff much more clearly from the start.
Yeah.
But hey, we're a startup. Everyone makes mistakes. We have to learn as we go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The other thing that I feel like that it's owed to you guys a little bit of props is I know that when the Indiegogo first started, there was some shipping issues, there was some problems, and you guys as a team all showed up in China and started shipping out yourselves and fixing things and making sure it was, because you wanted to make sure that everything was done properly. The other things that I feel that you guys don't get the proper respect for, and this is a huge one. Now it's not so much of a big issue because of the cloud saving. But at the time, there was switches getting bricked. And you guys were like really worried. I know that for a fact. Because that could have destroyed your whole business completely.
Absolutely.
But you guys came out and were like, we're telling you it's not going to brick your Switch. We know it's not going to brick the Switch. And if it does, we'll buy you a new Switch to replace it. I heard Mark say that numerous times in the groups. You guys were backing your product 110%, saying like this is no problems at all. And it didn't brick the Switch. Like my Switch, I used it. I used my Switch on your prototype as well as on mine itself, and I never had an issue. And that's what I kept telling people was, listen, the components, the reason why, and maybe this will be something that can explain to people, the reason why the switches were bricking was because people were using cheaper innards for their dock. Yeah. You guys were using the same stuff that Nintendo was basically using. So if it wasn't going to brick the Nintendo dock, if the Nintendo dock wasn't bricking switches, yours wasn't going to brick it. But like when you had the lower models using, like the third parties making these switch docks that were cheap, that's what was causing the issue. So I remember Mark saying up front, like, hey, we shouldn't have a problem with this. If you do, let me know. But no, not a person. And I remember being in that Facebook group. Man, it was like you could feel the tension because people were so scared. And one by one, people were like, "Nah, man, mine's working. Mine's still working. And then slowly but surely, it was just like, nope, it's not an issue. This is working fine." What? I'm curious. What's the mindset of the company at that point when this is something like this comes out?
These guys were completely confident the whole time. Like they have done their research. I've got some serious dudes work here. Like I'm talking, as I mentioned, our CTO and all our kind of buyers and stuff are ex really big Chinese brands and international brands like Garmin and Hisense and that sort of stuff. So they were never bothered by this. They know the company that was putting out these inferior components, and they know the shortcuts and stuff they take. But these guys know the kind of electrical engineering market and stuff so well, much better than I could ever understand without studying it for like getting a PhD or whatever in it. So they were never that worried about it. But it's about this misunderstanding of sort of Chinese engineering ability and stuff like that. Like the reputation in America and Europe of made in China is pretty poor. Yeah. But these people are these guys are very, very serious about what they do, and they would sort of never allow for that kind of stuff to happen. Everything is so rigorously checked. I'm doing a bunch of factory tours and stuff while I'm out here as well, so I can. Because I mean that what that company did, I'm not going to say their name to be professional. What that company did is really damage the kind of third party market, which is a shame because we could be getting so many more of these in people's hands for a lower price if that hadn't happened. Yeah. So my kind of job going forward is, and I hear really respected journalists and vloggers and stuff are still saying, oh no, I wouldn't touch any of that third party switch stuff. And it's like, no, you don't have to worry. You don't if you go to the right company, you're set. Yeah. So like my task over the next couple of months is building a real case for why the right components is important and how you can tell and how you can trust a brand.
I feel like, and this is just the way I feel, like if your company, because your company's not massive, your company's not huge, no. So for Mark to come out and go in the group, hey guys, if this bricks your switch, we'll give you a new switch, dude. That can destroy your company. But that would But for someone to say that, to know with confidence, I'm saying this because I know it's not going to happen. It's a no-brainer. And that, to me, just shows that, like, hey, we have a quality product here that's going. I want to talk about real quick, because we got a little... do you have more time, or you up on... You have stuff...
Yeah, I don't have any other meetings today. So
okay.
Yeah,
all right, so I wanted to go into a couple of little things as well. The Mini. Where does the Ojo Mini come from, mindset-wise, all that stuff, like... How does that come about? And let people know the difference between the regular Ojo and the Mini.
Yeah, sure. So I've got the Mini here.
Yes.
And this is the regular Ojo here.
Okay.
With my switch in it.
Yeah.
The Mini is still in kind of final stages of development, and I guess you can kind of think of it as, I suppose, like a Game Boy Pocket or something like that. Okay. So even though it has slightly less power. It has a slightly smaller battery. I can't remember the milliamps, but it will last for around 3 hours and charge your switch about 1.5 times as opposed to the full amount that the Ojo proper charges it.
Yeah.
And it also has a slightly lower lumen count. So 800 regular lumens, or I think it's 80 ANSI lumens. So it's slightly dimmer. But I think and also it comes at a lower price point when it eventually releases as well. So because we're growing, because we're a small company, trying to get the components for the Ojo proper is difficult. So you have to kind of put up a lot of money initially to buy enough chips from TI really to make it all go together. So with the Mini at a lower price point, we're trying to. It's a bit of a volume play. So if you don't want to spend the extra cash and go for the Ojo proper, you can save a little bit and go for the Mini to hopefully kind of grow the market and help us grow the business. So yeah.
So now, and I'm not the difference. What's the difference spec wise between the two?
So yeah, the Mini is a slightly lower lumen count. So you won't be able to get quite as big an image in quite a lightened environment, okay. And the battery is slightly lower as well, so it won't charge devices for as long, and it won't stay powered. Okay. It won't be as portable for as long.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Does it have? I can't remember. So correct. I'm curious. Does it have the kickstand on the front of it, like the proper one, or no?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have the kickstand, but
Okay.
it has a space for a tripod as well,
Okay.
which we'll be releasing alongside it. So,
Okay.
so you can angle it, and well, in some ways it's less portable, in some ways it's more portable, I suppose, because you've got the tripod.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let me see. Luke Lore said, "What are your go-to test games for the OHO?"
Well, Mario Kart's always good because Mario Kart's a really fast game, so there's that kind of wows people when you're not seeing any latency and stuff like that. Mario Kart, sorry, and Odyssey is great because it's so colourful, so it's great to kind of really show off the definition of the image. I'd also say something like, as we mentioned before, like Doom or Skyrim is also great because it's like it's a really big immersive world when you get up all on the wall there.
Yeah.
And even things like Celeste. Celeste is really fun on it because Celeste has got a great soundtrack. I think the indie game Celeste.
Yes.
You know that one?
Yes. Yep. I know Celeste.
Yeah. And yeah, that even though that's like pixel art, that looks great on it. Again, it's colourful and the sound the soundtrack's great. Yeah, I'd say that. Also Stardew Valley, but I really like Stardew Valley. I play so much Stardew Valley still. So.
I do know when Jules and I, because like I said, his game Soccer Slammers launched I think the second day into E3, and it's got this loud booming like soundtrack and stuff, and like the crowd chanting in the back and all that, and like it was so loud coming out of that thing, and I was like, oh my god. Bad Bit Games, he's saying, which I know the answer to, but I kind of want to address this to the Mini as well. But he's saying, you did mention PS4 and Xbox One can be used on the OHO. That is true, Bad Bit. What about the Mini? Is the Mini?
Yeah, so we have a HDMI slot there as well. Yep. So anything that's HDMI goes right in there and works just the same way as
you can actually, if you wanted to, like if you had to do a presentation at a job, you can actually use your cell phone, your computers, hook it, and that'll work as well. The other thing too.
Say that, yeah, absolutely.
The other thing that I want to talk about that people might not realize is the dongle. Could you explain what the needs and the use of the dongle is for this?
So the dongle is it's like a portable dock really. So you've got a HDMI in, a USB-C in, a USB 3.1 out, and a 3.1 in, and a USB-C out. So this acts like your Nintendo dock really, but look how small it is, and so you can put that in your pocket or your backpack or whatever it is. And if you want to play on a TV or you want to plug something else into a TV, then you've got this as your kind of all-in-one as well. A portable dock, I would say, a portable dock and sort of HDMI input.
Now, a big thing that happened in the group. The OHO, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe it's changed, I don't know. You can't run Hulu on the projector. You need a dongle.
You can now.
Oh, you can now?
Yeah. There's a software update that if you don't have, we can get to you. But we have to send you out a USB stick that you just plug in. We did that to a bunch of people that update some of the firmware. But any new models and stuff that you can buy
I would like that if you can.
Find
I'll get with you.
Send me an email after.
I'll send you an email after this. I definitely would like that. Yeah. But I know that people were using the dongle and hooking it some way to make it then work to go through.
Yeah. That also. Yeah.
The dongle is really the dongle's out now, correct?
Everything apart from the Mini, everything is available now. So yeah, and the speaker. So yeah.
And if they just go to YesOjo.com, they can.
That's probably the best way.
Yeah. So in the description, guys, I put the website for them. If you're interested in a dongle, go check it out, buy it, all that stuff. It's really cool.
Give me a few days. This will all be on Amazon as well. So I'll just give you a little bit more. So if you come back next week, and you'll have everything.
Yeah. So, one other thing, because you guys really like ramped up with what you're doing here now, the Pro controllers that you guys are doing now. I like this because I say something and he just pops it up and there it is.
Oh yeah, I've got a table full of stuff here. You have no idea. Yeah.
So the controller that I saw at E3, it's not the same controller as that you have there.
No. No, that was I think that was just some early testing or that was going on at E3. This is our finished version Gatito wireless Pro controller with the USB-C in, all the kind of standard features, dual vibrations, 6-axis control. Yeah. It's got turbo buttons for your fighting games, and I would say this, but I think it feels really, really nice. I really, really like the feel of this. It's I don't have an official Nintendo Pro controller, but I have used them. And there is, it's of the same caliber for sure, but at a fraction of the price. So
because what are they going for?
The Gatito is $35 on Amazon.
That's huge.
What are they? What are the Pro controllers in the US?
Well, let's put it this way: the new Switch one I think is $60 or $70. I paid
£60. Yeah, they're insane.
Yeah. I know that Power A, which I have this controller here. I'll unplug it. This one here, which is gorgeous looking. They're $25, but they're wired. I just disconnected the wire to show you. But they're gorgeous. They just came out with wireless ones, and they're $50 a piece.
Right.
So. And this controller does feel really nice in your hands. It just sucks that it's wired. But so I am interested in their wireless controllers to see how those, if they're comparable, if they feel the same. How does the D-pad feel on yours?
So as you can see, it's a sort of solid, flexible D-pad here, all separated parts. It's got a lot of there's a good kind of, how do you describe this? I suppose good talk. There's a good bounce to it. You know when you're pushing something down. I think you're gonna have to try it for yourself, Bobby. I'll get you one of these out.
Okay.
That's probably the best way. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's the only way I can tell that.
I mean, yeah.
No, because that's the one thing that I would say with the Power A ones is the D-pad is not as good.
Right.
The D-pad to me, for some reason, it's very difficult to get right. If you get it right, you got something on your hands. Some people just can't seem to get it right. So, I'm always curious.
Microsoft doesn't get it right.
What's
the Xbox
that?
one is terrible.
Microsoft
doesn't get it right. No. The Xbox one is awful.
So that's kind of cool. What else? You have anything else over there? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. That's make sure we haven't hit.
I do have a bunch of stuff, but I'll save it for another time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is there any? So, because you have the Mini coming out, is there anything you're doing different with the Ojo proper, or is that staying all the same?
Well, I mean no, apart from that firmware update that adds Hulu and stuff, and also like the Xbox, like the PlayStation 2, when that first release, you encounter a few bugs of which we've sort of replaced people's Ojos and stuff when they come. So that if you buy it now, you're getting like you never buy a console. I always say never buy a console in the first 6 months, because it's going to break. Because there'll be something they're fine with it. So we're kind of through that period now. So if you buy one now, it will last you the 7 years that we say it will last. The Switch will be around. So apart from all those things being refined, we've added a nice matte finish to it now as well for our Japanese customers, which everyone will get. But that's all sort of locked in now. So yeah.
And this is just curiosity, and you can tell me you can't say that to me on the air, and that's fine. Are you allowed to talk are you allowed to talk sales stuff at all, or no?
I'd rather we didn't.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Ask a question.
Well, I was just going to say, what I was going to say is, my question was, going to say, how many units have you sold or anything? That's not I would never ask you that.
Okay, good. That's fine. All right.
My question more was, where do you like? What territory is it selling better in? Like, is it selling
Japan?
Better? Japan selling good?
Sure, absolutely Japan. And I think that's because it's a new product category, and I think Japan always kind of jumps on these things a lot quicker. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I see video games is it seems to be that Japan is first, then America follows Japan, then Europe and the rest of the world follow the other two.
Yeah.
So we've talked to all the kind of biggest guys, Amazon, Target, Walmart, Sam's Club, GameStop, Best Buy. Same in Europe, all these kind of guys, and they're all like, I really, really like this, but I'm not sure, it's too risky for me at the moment. Yeah. So what I'm hoping is with this, this is why I've been away all around the world all year to trying to do this.
Yeah.
I'm hoping with now we're moving into stores in Japan, into actual physical stores and have a lot more kind of presence and a lot more kind of merchandising online. Yeah, that people are going to start to notice. So I'm going to be really busy before Christmas because I want to get these in somewhere where you can pick it up and buy it before Christmas. That's my kind of goal. So yeah.
The one thing that I said to you guys, again, you could tell me that you don't want to talk about it, and that's fine. But that's one thing, because this is live, it's a little bit different than a normal podcast. Normal podcast, I would be like, say whatever you want to say, and if you want me to cut it out, I can cut it out, whatever. But I want to talk about something, and you might not be able to talk about it. And if you can't, that's fine. I understand. But when we did the initial meeting, I had said to you about I felt like you should get something with Nintendo in terms of like an official license or anything like that. Have you guys discussed that, or have you had talks with Nintendo, or where's that stand?
So we've kind of been working on that. I probably have to be careful what I say here. We've been working on that for a long time. A lot of the sort of official licensed products that you see with the gold stamp on it they're kind of almost like really historical from when Nintendo was trying to grow its brand, like back in the 80s. Like those licenses have been around for years and years. So getting a new one is difficult because as far as Nintendo are concerned, they don't need to give them out anymore. Yeah. But as I said, we're doing strong in Japan, and maybe things will change. So or maybe things are
or things will stay the same. So it's
you'll see. Yeah,
it's one of those weird things that are just like, here's something that Tim just asked. He said, "What about like exclusivity deals where like something is sold strictly at GameStop? Have you thought about doing stuff like that? Like maybe the Pro Controller that you have, or maybe one of the minis, get like a special color or design." And have you talked to any outlets that are interested?
Those sort of conversations, they're all kind of in flux at the moment. Okay. I can't really give you any updates. Yeah, literally this conversation thing right now.
It's all negotiation stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because that would be kind of cool. Like if, just a hypothetical, if you had a special, because you showed the blue mini, but there's also a red mini for those that are kind of curious. There's a red and a blue, which is kind of cool for the Joy-Cons. Do you have pink and green, maybe, in the works?
Maybe.
Okay.
We do.
Because that's kind of cool. They're kind of neat. So the thing is like, if you had an exclusive one that was a particular color for a certain store, that'd be kind of cool. Like, like Tim saying, like Target red or something like that.
Yeah. I agree.
What's the feel of like things in Europe? Like, is that like dead waters, or is that
No, yes and no. I'd say Europe and America are in the same state at the moment, to be honest, which is weird. We've got we're still speaking to the right people, but it's all this merchandising and this kind of categorization problem and this education problem of saying like, look at this new way of playing games, and that's just been like a resource problem, I think. Really, like, I'm stretched, budgets are stretched, and it's about kind of just making sure we're having those meetings, sharing the right kind of content, sharing the right whatever it is to the right people at the right time to kind of get them to get that moment where it pops for them, as you said. And that's all kind of ongoing. It's same kind of. I mean, we have GameStop we don't have it in the UK, but we have this throughout the rest of Europe, and they're in the same kind of position as GameStop in the US. So hopefully things will. Like I said, I'm going to be very, very busy from now until Christmas, like closing making sure this sort of happens in the best way possible.
Pretty awesome.
So, yeah.
Pretty awesome. But
thank you,
Jack. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank
you.
you.
I've been wanting to do this with you for a year almost.
Thank
now.
you.
So I'm just glad that we finally are able to do something. Real quick, let's just do a quick rundown before we wrap up. So the Ojo proper that you can get off of YesOjo.com at the moment.
Or check on Amazon next week. All of these products you can check on Amazon next week. So,
and then we're going to go to the next is the Pro controllers. When are they available, or are they available?
They're available now.
Okay.
So but I need to do a bit of plumbing. So there's inventory and stuff I need to sort out. But they're available, right? Yeah.
The minis.
The minis still released TBA, but should be in the next couple of months.
Okay. And then the Bluetooth speaker. Where are we at with that?
Bluetooth speaker. We're still kind of collecting our market research, collecting interest and stuff. So I expect that to launch early next year, and you'll see it again pretty early next year. So,
awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate this. And please, guys, go do two things. Follow them on Twitter, YesOjo Studios. Go check that out. Please go to the website. You can also go on the Facebook page. There is a Facebook group. You just go out, you just search YesOjo, and it should pop up in groups. Join there, because you can talk to Mark, you can talk to Jack. They're active in the group. Also, you can talk to other members that have an Ojo, so if you do have questions, they can help you out, because it's a really good community that you have there. Anything else you want to plug before we shut it down?
No, I'm all good. I think I've plugged enough. So, been fun, yeah.
So that is all. Peace out, Preston.